Hello, welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author. Today a lovely cup of Williamson's Earl Grey. Now, I'm going to talk notebooks today. I've got a huge variety of A5, B5 and goodness knows what else notebooks. Back when I was a kid, we used to have these. Don't know if you can see that, but on the front it says there 47 pence, because these were cheap notebooks and they would have multiplication tables and things. Why? Because when I was at school it was before the days of tedious things like pocket calculators or phones that gave you all the numbers. So you had metric tables, you had linear measures, you had all sorts, really useful. And inside you had paper that was frankly awful. But Silvine have been reincarnated. And now they have things such as 100% recycled paper, as well as red notebooks. So I thought it would be useful to just compare and contrast 100% recycled paper with other things, such as, oh, I don't know, a Rhodia notebook, or even more interesting, possibly, a rather special new Clairefontaine. Clean Safe, it's called. So let's have a look at them. So this is the cheap 1970s notebook. It's slightly larger than A5, as you can see. And what did it have? It had nice broad lines, so you could see what you were writing. It had no margin, you had to write that in yourself. It was very much a school book. And then at the back, just for the poor, ignorant little schoolboy called Jex, had multiplication tables, linear measures, volume capacity, conversion, area and mensuration. Wow. I wonder what that means. So, you've got, oh, measures of weight too. Micrograms is 1 milligram, 10 mil. It's a fascinating little book. And the paper was horrible. So I was given recently these two books. Let's look at them. It's the Silvine that attracted me in the first place. So it's an A5, 120 pages, lined and perforated. Turning to the pages, we find reasonable sized lines, marginally, could be the same sort of distance between lines, I'm not too sure. No margin. Each page has micro perforations, so you can tear it out neatly and tidily and put it elsewhere. And apart from that, what else is there to say? It comes with a hardback cover, so it's easy enough to open up. You can use it completely folded round, so it's quite handy to write on. It's a very useful practical notebook. Here we have the Clean Safe. I actually thought it was Clean and Safe, but I read it wrong. It's antimicrobial. So bacteria, mold, fungi and virus resistant. It has 60 pages, so 120 sides, which I think is the same for the Silvine. A5 again, and micro perforated sheets. Treated with an organic antimicrobial active ingredient, you can read that for yourselves. Lasts for the lifetime of the product. Wow. And featuring 100% recyclable materials. Now this has come in squared paper, which is not my favourite. Personally, I rather like lined or plain. And sometimes dot grid. I'm not that fussy, but it's got spiral bound, same as the Silvine. The only real difference you can tell looking at them is that the Silvine has a squared edge and the Clairefontaine has a slightly rounded edge, which is nice. And then I've also been trying out, just so I can compare them, the Rhodia. So how did I do this? Well, I've had people complaining about my handwriting before, but never mind. Silvine, I was quite surprised. So I used Pilot Metropolitan, and I discovered that with that fine-ish nib, the paper had a slightly toothy feel. Not bad, but those who like ASMR, they'll probably enjoy it. This was using a Visconti. I wrote later that it was the Skylight. It wasn't, it was a Crystal Dream, but it doesn't make any difference, it's the same nib. Nice fine nib, worked very, very nicely on this. This was Edelstein Star Ruby, and then I tried my Opus 88, which I haven't used for months, and it was absolutely wonderful. Finally I used a Schaefer, and again, worked very well. When I went to Clairefontaine, it was very similar to Rhodia. Let me just go to the Rhodia first. So this is the Rhodia, which has lovely smooth surface. I really like Rhodia paper pads. I like the fact that they work as reporters' notebooks, so they open up at the top. They're simple, they're just stapled, it's nothing very clever, simple staples. This one is the number 16, which is pretty much A5, and it's a lovely type of paper to use. I use these lined for making notes, and I use them plain for sketching because they're just wonderful. So lovely feel, smooth surface to write on, always rated this very highly. The Visconti worked extremely well. The Opus with a more medium nib worked very well. The Schaefer worked very well as well. And then I went on to the Clairefontaine, and I believe Clairefontaine and Rhodia are the same company, so you won't be surprised to hear that actually it's very nice and very similar to the Rhodia. But, so it's similar to the Rhodia, ultra smooth, very pleasant in the hand. It feels really nice. But I also had to test my, it wasn't a Skylight at all, it was a Crystal Dream. There you go, Crystal Dream. And then this is my Pilot. I had an Opus 88 I used as well as the Visconti and the Schaefer. So they all work nicely, they all feel nice. So let's see about the main thing, which is how are they on the reverse side? No ghosting, no bleed through, nothing whatsoever. This paper from Clairefontaine does work exceptionally well, and I have to say for £4.80 I'd ruddy well expect it to work well. This stuff £3.25, let's just test those micro perforations, shall we? Works extremely well as well. There is a slight amount of shadow coming through. You can see where someone's been writing on it. Test the micro perforations on this one as well, so we can just demonstrate the difference. There's micro perforations there somewhere, I can't find them, hold on. That there? Yeah, that should be it. That's better. So looking at this, on the reverse, there are some shadows coming through perhaps, but they're so minor that I'd have to say that's actually, as far as I'm concerned, no shadows whatsoever. And then the Silvine, which is by far and away the cheapest, there are some marks coming through. There's a little bit of bleed through, which is disappointing, but it's £2.50 a page, so really does it matter? If I look at these closely, I can see just a very slight amount of feathering with a very wet Visconti pen. But when I say very slight, I mean it's almost none at all. Going to the Opus 88, really pretty much nothing. Nope. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, for £2.50, that really is very good value. On the expensive Clairefontaine, nothing nasty at all. Absolutely fine. And then if we look at the Rhodia, I know this won't have any feathering or anything because it is paper I've been using for many years. Nothing whatsoever. Now, I used this KWZ ink partly because it tends to sheen just slightly. You can see the sheen on the Rhodia paper. On the Clairefontaine, it's sort of almost there, but not quite. And then when I go to the Silvine, it doesn't really show the sheen at all, and that's possibly because the paper is just a little bit more absorbent. Just for the point of view of comparisons, however, this is my original Silvine notebook from the 1970s, and it's surprisingly good actually. I don't know if the paper has improved with age, but there's a little bit of spreading of the ink, but really nothing too much. It's a lot better than I remember it. And then on the back there's a slight amount of shadowing, but really very little. Now, as I understand it, they're making Silvine red covered notebooks again, and I believe that the quality of the paper is vastly improved, and I believe that they're also quite cheap. I'll put a note of the prices down at the bottom if I can find them. But basically, if you want something that is going to be moderately reasonable price, will be very efficient, then Rhodia is still pretty much my go-to page. This has 80 pages, so it's 160 sides of paper. The Silvine has 60 pages, I believe, so 120 sides of paper. And similarly, the Clairefontaine, clean safe, 60 sides, so 120. Sorry, 60 pages, so 120 sides. But who really wants antimicrobial paper? That is something I'd be really interested to hear about from you guys. Is there really a need for this? You tell me. Well, I hope that was interesting. In there you've got several different things. All of them are stunningly good, but these two, absolutely lovely, both of them. Very impressed. I like the feel of the paper, I like the way it works, I like everything about them. The only trouble is, of course, the cost. And when I looked at the costs, I discovered that I was on the wrong page of my notebook. How did I manage that? What happened to the costs? I put them down here somewhere. I'm sure I put them here somewhere. No, I wrote them somewhere else. 1 minute, and back again. So the Silvine, 100% recycled, actually costs a grand total of £2.50 per notebook from Cult Pens. I tend to quote Cult Pens purely because I know them. I don't get paid for promoting them or anything, but they're a firm that I've been involved with for some years because I've been using them. I started using them because they're based in Devon, no other reason, but they've always been reliable for me. So when you want to look at prices, I go to Cult Pens first. £2.50 from Cult Pens for one of these. 120 pages, lined, perforated A5 notebook. It's climate friendly, eco inks and no nasty chemicals, they say. Isn't that nice? But good paper, good value. The next one is the Rhodia notepad. Now this is 75p. I've got a couple of stickers there. Get off, get off. This is 75p more expensive, £3.25. Very handy. I like having the reporter's style every now and again of opening it up at the top rather than opening out as a booklet. So I like that. The Clairefontaine, I like the paper. I'm not sure that anyone's really that bothered about antimicrobial paper, are they? I'm not. Especially not when the best price I could see for this was if you bought 5 in a packet from Ryman's. They were £24, which means £4.80 per notebook, which means almost double the price of a Silvine using recycled paper. Well, for me, it's fairly obvious which one I'd go for. Right, thank you very much for watching. Hope that was interesting. Don't forget, if you like it, hit the like button, hit the bell button, and to subscribe and all the good things that you know about. If you want to consider supporting the channel, then please get in touch with me via Patreon. Links down the bottom. And apart from that, what else is there to say? There's something else I had to say. Oh yes, don't forget, if you really want to use your fountain pens and get in touch with other people who also like fountain pens, get in touch with me via the link to Writerly Witterings down below, and I'll put you in touch with the Writerly Witterings Pen Pals Club, which is a mouthful. On that note, I'm now going to go and edit this quickly because today is Thursday. This video is due today. I'm running late. I'm going to hurry up. Bye bye.